welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Continuing my 2016 recaps and 2017 previews, and today we're going to talk about the New York Jets, a team that was this close to making the playoffs in 2016, and this year they were this close to possibly picking the top 5 of the NFL draft. Funny how things can change in the league that we love so much. Horrible year for the New York Jets, where almost everything and anything that could have went wrong. The one thing you could say, though, they weren't that injured. You know, they didn't suffer that many injuries. I don't think that's a very good thing, because it tells you that with your roster healthy, for the most part, you can be pretty freaking bad. Yes, you guys missed an Eric Decker. Yes, Nick Mangold missed some games, but you guys were pretty healthy. I mean, if you want to see an injured team, go look at the San Diego Chargers injured reserve. Go look at the Chicago Bears injured reserve, and you'll see, okay, maybe we're not that bad. So anyway, let's look at the key games from this season. You know, before the season, I had this Jets team going 7-9, and a lot of Jets fans couldn't believe that. And now looking back, neither could I, right? They couldn't even get that. So week 1, key game to me, against the Cincinnati Bengals, having a chance to win that game, a real chance to win that game, but being unable to pull it out late, kind of set the tone moving forward. Although the second week you did upset, I guess kind of upset. You guys just kind of beat them anyway. The Buffalo Bills, this was in Buffalo. I think Buffalo was favored for this game, so it was a little bit of an upset. It was a great offensive game. You saw Quincy Enunwa emerge on the scene, and you had a lot of hope after this game. But then the week after that just got trounced and just stuffed by the Kansas City Chiefs, the 6th interception game by Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that is when you and I said, we might be in some trouble this year. That's definitely a key game there. Look at the Arizona Cardinals game, which I believe was on Monday Night Football. Again, we say, we're in trouble here. We've now lost 4 straight games. After that, surprisingly, we win 2 games in a row. I don't know how. We beat the Baltimore Ravens in New York, and we beat the Cleveland Browns. Of course we do, because of the Browns, but we won 2 games in a row, and then from there, trouble again. We lose 4 straight games, but then we get the 49ers and we beat them. We lose 2 straight games, and then we beat the Buffalo Bills in week 17. We have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who starts and stinks. We have Bryce Petty, who starts and stinks. And we have Geno Smith, who comes in, throws like 3 passes, gets intercepted somehow, gets sacked 3 times, and gets injured. So a terrible season there for the for the New York Jets. It was so disastrous, I forgot who I was talking about for a second. So with that in mind, let's look at the individual performances from this Jets season. Let's start with the offense. And who is my offensive MVP this season? It was tough. Now, I think I gave it a tie, actually. I gave 2 MVPs. I gave co-MVPs, James Carpenter, the left guard, and Quincy Enunwa, the wide receiver. Let's start with Enunwa and this receiving core. Great year for Quincy Enunwa. A guy that really wasn't known before this season, a lot more known now. Got like over 800 receiving yards. Really caught a high percentage of his targets as well. Led this team in yards, in touchdowns. Very good job by Enunwa. Brandon Marshall, disappointing year, and at the end of the season, running his mouth yet again. Another flame out for Brandon Marshall in his NFL career, and don't be surprised if honestly no one picks him up in free agency. It would not shock me at all. I think teams are getting sick and tired of this junk. I think he's done in New York. Robbie Anderson, who I believe was an undrafted free agent. A surprising year from him, obviously. Sharon Peak, your 7th round pick, came in and did something, gives you hope for the future. So this wide receiver core, it wasn't disastrous, especially with better quarterback play. They could be better, but there are definite issues here. And then Eric Decker, he was obviously missed. I think in the future, though, this position is actually all right, but I would definitely move on from Brandon Marshall. I'm so sick of his mouth. Let's move on to the offensive line. James Carpenter, great year from him. He's been a fantastic signing from Seattle, and boy, does Seattle wish they still had him being the mainstay in that interior offensive line. He's been great for you. Look at left tackle. Instability there. Ryan Clady started for about 6, maybe 8 games, something like that. Got a number of holding calls, got a number of sacks allowed. Really wasn't very good. Didn't really make many holes in the run game either. Poor year from Ryan Clady. Look at the backup offensive tackle, Ben Ijalana. Not a great year from him at all. He ended up being the worst offensive lineman this year, to me at least. Terrible left tackle position right now for the Jets. Although Clady, with another season after this ACL injury, could be better, but can he stay healthy now? That's the question. And can he just be good? Look at the center position, Nick Mangold. Getting old, but when he's playing, this guy's freaking good. The problem is now he's not playing as often. But Wesley Johnson, I felt he came in and played an okay job at center. Look at right guard, Brian Winters. I like Brian Winters. And I think he ended up being probably the second best offensive lineman in this group. Even maybe a little better than Nick Mangold. I look at the right tackle position, instability there, but Brandon Shell, I want to say an undrafted, no, he was drafted actually. He was the 5th round pick of this Jets team this year. He ended up starting for this team the last 3 or 4 games and actually played really well. Before him, who was starting there? I'm not really sure. Was it Brino? I want to say Brio Giacomini, who just not very good at all. So Breno, however you pronounce it. I always have trouble with that name. But anyway, Brandon Shell, he has been a good right tackle, and you can believe that, hey, this guy could be a right tackle in the future. Good. Let's move on to the tight end position, and there is not a worse tight end position in the NFL. They stink. You look at Austin Seferian-Jenkins, signed from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has had mental issues. So many mental issues. It just makes me laugh. Kellen Davis, what? I can't believe he's on the roster. You look at this Tomlinson guy. You look at Brandon Bostic. Is there a worse tight end position in the NFL? No. Let's look at the quarterback position. Is there a worse quarterback position in the NFL? No. Ryan Fitzpatrick, what he can do, some days he can come out and he can play pretty well. And you'll be shocked and he'll play well the entire game and he'll win you the game. But there's other weeks where, man, he stinks, like the disaster in Kansas City where he just doesn't give a F. He's just throwing interceptions, whoops, throwing interception, whoops, throwing it. He just does it again and again. It's like I was stuck in the Twilight Zone when I was watching this game. Incredible. The quarterbacks stink. And Bryce Petty, this guy might be the worst quarterback in NFL history. I mean, he throws an interception in every game he's ever played, except for one where he threw 2 passes. Outside of that game, he throws an interception in every game. There's never been a quarterback more likely to throw an interception in a football game than Bryce Petty. Look at the running backs, though. I was very impressed, and who wasn't? By Bilal Powell. 5.5 yards per carry, came on late. You have to believe, or at least wonder that, man, this guy could be our running back of the future. Matt Forte, not so much, okay? He was up and down. He had a great week 2 against the Buffalo Bills, but really didn't do much otherwise. So I actually like Bilal Powell to be the starting running back of this football team next year. And he ended up making a surge for the Offense MVP award, but not enough of a surge. We look at the defense. Defense MVP Leonard Williams continues to prove to be a fantastic pick for this football team. He led the team in sacks with 7, had a couple forced fumbles, and just played great overall, developing into a leader as well. The rest of the defensive line, though, there are some issues right now. So they ended up standing up Sheldon Richardson a little bit and playing a more outside linebacker. So I won't talk about him here right now. You look at Muhammad Wilkerson. Terrible year, and he'll tell you that it's because of his ankle injury, his ankle / leg injury. He had a broken fibula week 17 last year, came in this year hobbled and had issues, and you could tell, right? And this is after getting paid, dog, and man, that sucks. I think he'll be better next year, but I don't know how they're going to fix the issue. Maybe it's fixed now. I don't know. But he's been complaining too much, like a baby's been complaining. So hopefully it's fixing the offseason because, man, he can't play like this again. Steve McLendon, the nose tackle for this team. Rundowns, he's great. Pass downs, no. That's his move. We look at the linebackers now. Now let's look at Sheldon Richardson. Actually, I thought it was pretty good, but the problem is he started running his mouth late with Brandon Marshall. They got into a spat, and you have to wonder if he's going to be with this Jets team next year, and the answer is probably no. I think they have to do something with this 3-man front of Richardson, Williams, and Wilkerson. It's not really working out right now. One of them has to go, and to me, that has to be Sheldon Richardson. We look at the other linebackers. Jordan Jenkins, your rookie, had about 2.5 sacks. Not great, but I felt he was really good against the run. I knew he would be. So there's something to like there. Lorenzo Walden, I expected more from him this year. I wanted him to make a little bit of a step up, this being his sophomore campaign. Didn't do much, disappointed by him. Other outside linebackers really didn't do much, like Bishop and some other guys didn't really do anything. Look at inside linebackers. Darren Lee. The rookie out of Ohio State, I expected more from him this year. Really disappointed me to Darren Lee. I want more from him in the future. David Harris, the other inside linebacker, he continues to be pretty consistent. And there's questions if he'll be on this team next year. But to me, he must be resigned because Darren Lee isn't ready to man the middle alone yet. I think you need this guy still. And Bruce Carter, he's all right. We know what to expect from him. Look at the safeties real quick. Rontez Miles, this guy knows how to hit people, man. 3 forced fumbles on the season. In coverage, he's not great, but run defense, yeah, this guy's pretty freaking good. Calvin Pryor, not great. And, you know, they're playing more strong safety now, and I guess that's okay, but I think Rontez Miles and this guy need to be swapped. I think Rontez Miles would be better as a strong safety and Calvin Pryor more free safety. I think they need to do that immediately. You look at the cornerbacks, Darrelle Revis. A terrible start to the year, but at the end of the season, started playing a lot better. You know, by then, a lot of people didn't care, but I think that was actually true. Look at the other cornerbacks. Justin Burris, not very good. Buster Screen, same thing. Dexter McDougal, So these cornerbacks aren't very good. If they let go of Darrelle Revis, they're going to have a bigger problem because now they have almost nobody. So there goes the 2016 season for the Jets. Real quick, let's review the draft class for this team. Darren Lee, when they took him, I gave it an A. I loved the draft pick. Now I don't love it. If I had to regrade it right now, I may see a C or a C minus, man. The guy has not been impressive at all. Second round pick, Christian Hackenberg, I gave it a D. I stick with that grade. It was a terrible draft pick, and it's proven to be a terrible draft pick. Third round, Jordan Jenkins, I gave it an A minus. I'd probably give it like a B right now because he's not getting the sacks that I want to see, but next year he could. Fourth round, Justin Burris, I gave it an A. Looking more like a C right now, maybe a C plus. So Brandon Shell, though I gave that one a B minus, now it's looking more like a B plus actually, with hopes to be an A in the future. So overall, I gave this draft class a B plus. By the way, I gave Sharon Peak, I gave that pick an A plus. I think he's actually proven to be that because as a seventh round pick, still being on the team and producing like 200 receiving yards, not great, but producing at all, very impressive. I give this draft class a B plus. I think it's proven to only be maybe a B minus at this point, with hope to be better in the future. So there goes the draft class. There goes the 2016 season. Let's look ahead to 2017. Cap space problem. Okay, big problem right now. Cap space for the New York Jets. Only $1 million in cap room. Now, they're going to be able to make moves, but it's going to hurt the team. Darrelle Revis, gone. David Harris, possibly gone. Brandon Marshall, probably gone. That right there should shelve out about, I'd say, 24 million. Good. Okay, so we're getting on to a good start there. That's still not enough to do much, though. You'll be able to sign your free agency or draft class, or probably, because you guys are picking high this year, for maybe like, you have to shelve out like 8 million for your draft class this year, I would say. That's just an estimate, too. I could be off on that. It could be like 10. So with that in mind, you won't be able to do much in free agency, so just keep that in mind this year when you guys don't do much in free agency. You look at upcoming free agents. Ryan Fitzpatrick, you can't re-sign him. You can't. There's not going to be enough money. If you do, why would you? He's not good, right? So Geno Smith, same thing also. But Geno Smith, he can actually re-sign, actually, because he won't ask for much. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's proven that, hey, I'm going to ask for much. Geno Smith, same. He's actually shown that maybe I won't sign for too much. If you can re-sign one of these guys for 1 year, $4 million, make that deal. Maybe Fitzpatrick, maybe he comes down after this terrible year. He realizes, okay, I stink. I'm going to give in. I will sign for nothing. But, man, the cap space will be an issue this offseason for the New York Jets. It'll be such an issue. We look at the offensive tackle, Ben Ijalana, and let him go. He hasn't been proven to be very good. Although this tackle position right now is concerning me, I'm not sure you guys can afford to keep this guy. I think he's going to want at least probably $2 or $3 million. If he wants less, then okay, re-sign him. Brian Winters, I would really want to re-sign this guy. I don't know how much he wants, but if he wants, let's say, $4 million per year, 4 years, $16 million, Re-sign him because, man, to me, you need this type of offensive lineman right now for your football team. He's one of the more consistent players on your football team. Cannot afford to let him go. Let's look at your team needs. Quarterback, obviously. Edge rusher, to me, definitely. Leonard Williams cannot be your best pass rusher. You need someone better than that. Especially in the second place is Muhammad Wilkerson. You're not getting any sacks from your edge rushers. Edge rusher, definitely a need. Tight end, again, it might be the worst tight end position in the league. The New York Jets tight end position right now is a disaster. Cornerback, especially if they let go of Darrelle Revis. Cornerback, huge need. Look at just depth everywhere, especially these positions. Inside linebacker, offensive tackle, and free safety. I think they need depth at those positions. Veteran presence at inside linebacker, a young presence at offensive tackle, and a free safety. Either. It really doesn't matter. So let's look at some potential free agent acquisitions. Now, the first ones I'm going to name probably won't happen because they will probably won't have the money, but it's possible. Tony Romo, if they can pull the trade, then possible. But man, I don't know where they're going to get the money from. I think the money will be such an issue, it just can't happen. Jay Cutler, this is possible. I think Jay Cutler would probably sign for a 2-year, maybe $24 million deal, maybe, and that could be affordable for you, especially if you're so desperate that you need a quarterback. I could see that happening. Tyrod Taylor, I don't really see it happening, but I just included the name. If you guys could really shove it a lot of cap space. I don't see right now, but it's possible. Nick Foles. This is probably where you guys are going to go. Okay? A guy like Nick Foles, a guy like Brian Hoyer, a guy like EJ Manuel, cheap options, can start and not be too terrible and not turn over the ball as sporadically and even just consistently as Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Petty, and Geno Smith did. This would be much better. And I think one of the things that really hurt this defense this year was that they really weren't that bad. If you look at their yards allowed, they weren't that bad. They didn't allow many yards. The problem is when your other side of the football throws 25 interceptions, you're going to struggle a little bit in the red zone. Okay, so get a quarterback that's low turnover, like a Brian Hoyer, like a Nick Foles, like an EJ Manuel, who can control the game, be a game manager, and you guys can win some games next year. Let's look at some other positions. Pass rusher, edge rusher, DeMarcus Ware. I don't think it's going to be too expensive. I think it's possible. We look at Jarvis Jones, Erik Walden, Charles Johnson, all viable options. Tight end position. Weak in free agency, but let's just include it anyway. Jared Cook, Martellus, Bennett, Jack Doyle, and Anthony Fasano. Cornerbacks, Prince Amukamara, Terence Newman, Gosder Charles. Oh no, those are just the cornerbacks, sorry. Prince Amukamara and Terence Newman. And then the offensive tackle position, Gosder Charles and Matt Khalil. Now, again, I didn't include too many expensive names here outside of quarterback because I knew they just can't afford a Jason Pierre-Paul. They just can't afford a Chandler Jones. They just can't afford these high free agents, so I stayed away from those names. So draft picks. They're projected to have 6 draft picks, I believe. Now, for some reason, there's some uncertainty there because Mike McCagnon, the general manager of this football team, he believes that the Jets are going to receive 3 compensatory draft picks for losing Chris Ivory, for losing some other players last year. But then what I'm reading is they're not going to receive any because they signed some players that would offset that. So right now, I'm hearing they're not going to receive any compensatory picks. That's what I'm going off of. So potential draft picks for the first 2 rounds. First pick. A lot of uncertainty here for me. They could go anywhere. So let's talk about where they could go. Quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky or Deshaun Kaiser. Edge rushers, Myles Garrett, Tim Williams, or Derek Barnett. All possible options. Myles Garrett probably won't be there, but let's include him anyway just in case he has a draft day fall. Running backs, Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. I doubt it, but it could be possible. If they really don't like what's his name? Again, Bilal Powell. They could look to upgrade their running back position. I doubt it, but let's include it. Let's look at the other positions. Let's look at inside linebacker, Reuben Foster. I think he's going to be the best player available on the board for a lot of teams at this position. And they could just say, okay, let's just take the best player available and pair Reuben Foster with Darren Lee, have a young inside linebacker duo, yes, but a good inside linebacker duo in the future. Let's look at safeties, Jamal Adams and Jabril Peppers. They could use a safety added to that front. With Rontez Miles, yes, he had a good year this year, but do you buy they could be good in the future? I'm not really sure. And Calvin Pryor has been a little inconsistent, so they could look to add a safety. I doubt it right now, but it's possible. Also, Malik Hooker available at safety for this number 6 pick. One more to me also possible. Actually, two more actually. Offensive tackle Cam Robinson. I doubt it. But if they really want to solidify that left tackle position and they don't like Ryan Clady, in fact, they could cut him too, they could look to upgrade their left tackle position and take a Cam Robinson. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I feel it'd be a little bit of a reach, but we'll see. And then cornerback possible and Marshawn Lattimore. It'd be a reach, but it's possible, so let me include it. Your second round pick, number of options. Let's start with quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and Brad Kaya. This is where I would look to draft a quarterback. This is where I think a lot of teams will look to draft a quarterback as well, though. So you may need to trade up a couple spots if that's what you decide to do. Edge rushers, Carl Lawson and Taco Charlton and Charles Harris and Takaris McKinley. A lot of edge rushers should be available at this early second round pick. There should be plenty of options. You should be able to find one there. Cornerback. If you guys decide to go cornerback in round 2, a lot of available options here in Jordan Lewis, Desmond King, Garyon Conley, all available to me. I might wait till round 3 because there will still be a lot of these guys available in round 3 at the cornerback position. It's very deep this year, but you guys could decide to go there in round 2, especially if you guys do solidify an edge rusher in free agency. So let's go ahead and include the cornerback position here. Tight end, possible, very possible. Let's look at Bucky Hodges. Let's look at Jordan Leggett. Let's look at David Njoku. All possible options at tight end in that second or third round. And then Garrett Bowles and Roderick Johnson, possible left tackles in round number 2. So there you go. That's the 2017 offseason for the New York Jets. How can they do next season? If they can do everything right, then perhaps they could be like an 8-8 team next year. But, you know, to me, there's a lot of work to be done here. And with so much limited cap room, and I don't see a big turnaround here. A lot of uncertainty at quarterback right now. We'll see what they can do. If they can find a trade for Tony Romo, then they definitely could do a lot better than 8-8. But man, it's going to be very hard to do next season for the New York Jets. We'll see what happens. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the New York Jets 2016 season and my thoughts on their 2017 upcoming off season. What are you guys' thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.